Welcome to Untitled Your Coaching Podcast. I'm Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist and creator of the Going to Beyond the Food method, and I'm on a mission to help all coaches undiet their life and their coaching business. Ready? Let's do this. Welcome back, my dear colleague. This is the final installment of a three-part series titled When Client Want to Lose Weight. If you haven't listened yet to part 1 and 2, podcast 46 and 47, this likely will make no sense whatsoever. So you are warned. If you've been with me the whole time, today we're going to talk about what needs to be. This is the last step of the simple 3-step process to coach any client through the thought, I want to lose weight or I need to lose weight, which, if you've been in practice for any length of time, has likely been part of all your coaching client thus far. So we're going to start from step 2, which is when you got consent and you dig down to find out why they want to lose weight. Now you're going to take them through a process to show them how they can bring this emotion or this feeling you uncovered into their life right now without shrinking their body. You will show them how they can feel the way they want to feel, really what's behind their desire to lose weight that you dug up in step 2 without losing weight. And how are you going to do that? By helping them, coaching them through the process of changing their belief and their thinking, the same belief and thinking that you uncovered in step 1. You're going to help them change these thoughts and these beliefs so that they can create their emotion they're seeking. Is it all coming together for you? If not, that's okay. It's normal if you have not yet been exposed to the coaching process, which is different than the intuitive eating process or the body image healing process. It's normal that this feels awkward. And it's also normal if you've never been coached or are not engaging with yourself in a self-coaching way. So what I'm teaching you today, it's totally normal if that's you, that it feels awkward. That's okay. You can learn all of this. You can learn how to coach, which I recommend first to learn how to coach yourself, which is called self-coaching. Once you've understood how you can coach yourself and you started to feel some benefit in your life, then you can move into learning to coach other people. Now, what I often hear from coaches is that, to be quite honest, they feel frustrated when their client are, I'll use the word, quote, not getting it. Coaches get frustrated that weight loss is always coming up in their coaching, especially in consultation. That people still want to lose weight. And in some cases, I even heard and coaches, that they were refusing to work with clients who are still, quote, stuck in wanting to lose weight. If that's you, listen up. I'm going to give you some hard coaching right now. There's a good reason why you as a coach are getting frustrated with client expressing the desire to lose weight. And it's not your fault, but here's what's happening. You have not yet developed the skill set to meet yourself, with compassion. So trying to model compassion for a client's desire to lose weight is creating a lot of frustration. This is why you feel frustrated. That's why you're trying to avoid altogether to work with people who want to lose weight, even though that's our duty as non-diet coaches. Like, think about that for a minute. If we, as non-diet coaches, don't help the people who want to be helped with their desire to lose weight, who will. Certainly not diet culture. So we have to coach ourselves through this difficulty that we are experiencing as a coach. And the way through that is learning how to hold space for ourselves. Learning how to meet ourselves as a person in challenging moments with compassion. Because here's the truth. You will only be able to meet your client in a compassionate way if you can first meet yourself with compassion. Otherwise, the compassion that you will show in coaching will be intellectual compassion. It will not be a compassion that you've embodied, and the client will feel that. It will in the receiving end, it will feel very robotic, and it will be really quick. You will try to tell them, just be compassionate with yourself. And that will be the end of your coaching. Because you're not embodying it in your own life, in your own challenges, it will be impossible to walk someone else through the process. It'd be like trying to coach intuitive eating without being an intuitive eater. Basically, you would just recite the 10 principles of intuitive eating, and that would be intuitive eating coaching. And every time your client would struggle with one of the steps in the process, you wouldn't know what to do. Because you're not an intuitive eater. You haven't overcome these struggles yourself. And it's not in a manual anywhere. This is what we call lived experience. So if you're struggling and you're feeling frustrated with your client wanting to lose weight, work on yourself. Work on how you meet yourself with compassion, and that will unlock your ability to meet your client's desire to lose weight with compassion, which is required in order to move them through the 3-step process. It cannot be done from a place of frustration and impatience. It has to be done from a place of love. So let's get into more detail about what it looks like to coach a client through changing their thoughts and belief about weight loss. In step 1, you've identified the thoughts and the belief that created their desire to lose weight. Now you need to sit with your client and walk them through, show them possible belief that they could onboard and possible thought that they could think in order for them to change the neural pathway in their brain so that they can think this new belief. Now, for those that are not into cognitive behavior therapy or neuroscience, I want you to know this. A belief is only a thought that we have been thinking for a long time. So belief is a thought we've been thinking for a long time that we believe to be true. And a thought is the occasional narrative that shows up in our brain. We need to change both, right? We need to change the core belief. Some people will call it that, the core belief. And then the daily narrative that happens into the mind. Now, we need to make this really simple. Okay, we need to be 1 or 2 belief or thought. More than that will overwhelm the person and it will overwhelm the brain. One of my motto is make things simple and doable. Now, if you are in a consult, you will not be able to do this work with the client. You will be able to explain to them the process and tell them this is what coaching is about. Coaching, working with me, when you work with me in my coaching program, this is when I will help you change your belief about human's body and weight loss. And I'm going to help you find thoughts so that you can feel better now, unconditionally to your weight without having to restrict or shrink your body. I'm going to hold your hand through the process of unlearning the thoughts and the belief that creates the suffering you are experiencing. I'm going to help you process your emotion when you struggle, when you want to quit. I'm going to be there to coach you through that and keep you on the path to create the desired life you want. I'm going to stick with you until you have that new thinking. In coaching, there's 3 phases, right? So some of you may be aware of that. There's the phase of learning. There's the phase of building the skill or building the thinking. And then there's the last phase of having the thinking. Your coaching program should include the 3 phases. You're guiding through your client learning. Usually that's the first few sessions. And then the building is the core of the coaching program. And then having is the last few sessions where your client feels and think the way you outline at the beginning of the program, and you're coaching them through living this new life. That's the selling phase of your consultation. Now, if you're already in a coaching relationship with your client, you help them identify the thought and the belief that will lead them to be the future version of themselves. The goal you establish at the beginning of your coaching relationship, the thoughts and the belief that will create this version of themselves. And then you get to build phase of coaching. You help them identify in all of the ways that their brain is going to try to take them away from thinking and believing this new perspective on their body and their weight. It's going to be thought errors, cognitive distortion, biases. Your coach, the client will come in at their session, they will share with you their struggle, and you will help them identify why it's, quote, not working, guiding them through the new way, either by processing their emotion, by identifying cognitive distortion or biases. You're going to mirror their thinking to show them a different perspective. In my world, we call that riding the wave. You're going to coach them through riding the wave of their emotion until they show up to a session one day and they say, I had a good food week, or I had a good body image week. It was easy this week. Then you know that they're starting to create the new neural pathway. They're starting to think unintentionally the new thought. The reason why they feel good is because their brain is starting to give them their new thought in their automatic thinking. You help them find evidence of it working, of how they're showing up with the new emotion they want to have. That's your job as a coach, right? To mirror and to show them the evidence of them winning, of how it's working. You keep coaching them until they have the result that you both agree at the beginning of the coaching package. So I want to clear up a myth about coaching. What makes you, or what will make you a great coach, is not how well you can recite, for an example, the 10 intuitive eating principle. In fact, reciting the intuitive eating principle to your client and not coaching them through can actually harm your client. What makes you a great coach is knowing how it feels like to struggle, for an example, to binge, and now knowing how not to binge, and knowing that it's not about the food. You having this lived experience, knowing how it feels to be in the depth of it, is what will make you a great coach. To be able to relate to the person in front of you, to have compassion for them because you've been there, and you coach yourself, or you and your coach went through the process, and now you're on the other side. What will make you a great coach is to, what clients will say, you get it. And be a living, breathing testament, a living example to your client that it was never about their weight and it was never about the food. You can hold that space of belief for them. That's what will make you a great coach. Alongside with knowing how to coach people. One of the statements I like to give my student is, you can only take your client as far as you've taken yourself as a coach. The only limit that we have as coaches is our ability to challenge ourselves and coach ourselves through that next version of ourselves. Naturally, we are limited as human of how far we can push ourselves alone. Because the human brain operates from fear or love or pleasure and danger. And our human brain will always be afraid to expand, to, quote, move out of your comfort zone, to challenge yourself. And it's 100% normal. The human brain wasn't designed for expansion. The human brain was created for survival. And this is why there's millions of women, millions of people that are still trying to shrink their body, dieting, hating their body, or trying to action their way through optimum health. This is why people need you. In a nutshell, this is coaching. Maximum capacity of the human brain to challenge itself. A brain that has been living for decades in a space where losing weight is the solution to everything, trying to get themselves out of this belief and in that thought will be extremely difficult for a person on its own. Again, this is why there are still millions of people trying to shrink their body. This is your work. This is your magic. This is your power. This is your gift to help these people challenge their brain to think differently so they can escape diet culture. I'm going to get into a little bit of business coaching. It was a plan here, but let's go there. This is what you sell. What you sell is not the 10 principles of intuitive eating. Because let's face it, they can buy the 10 principles of intuitive eating for $25 by buying Evelyn and Ellie's book. They won't pay thousands of dollars to learn the intuitive eating principle. The same thing with body image, by the way. They can buy books on body image. What they are paying for is the coaching through the intuitive eating process or the body image process. That's what they're paying for. That's what you sell. So let me go deeper into business coaching here. So if all your marketing is about reciting the intuitive eating marketing and never talking about coaching, this is why you're not making the money you want to make. Is because you're not marketing what actually people will pay for, which is coaching. Now, here's what I have found. I have been training professional now for 3.5 years. Here's what I have found. People who struggle making money in their non-diet business is because they're selling the technique, the 10 intuitive eating principle. But when I dig deeper, just like you did with your client who want to lose weight, I keep asking why. What I find 90% of the time is that the coach doesn't coach themselves. So it's natural, it's expected that they're struggling selling something that they are not practicing, that they are not living, that they don't understand. How can you sell something that you don't know about? Like, make total sense that you wouldn't angle your marketing on that because you're not a coach, you're not coaching yourself. So let me give you this. If that's you, don't need to tell me. Just take this tip, this advice. Here, start coaching yourself. Start coaching yourself. Start living in the transformation of coaching. Start living in the power that coaching provides you in your daily life. And then market that transformation, market that all the amazingness that coaching is bringing into your life and how it's supporting your journey with food and body image. Go and market that and tell people, show people what you're doing. Show people what coaching is. If you are not trained in coaching, take the 3-part episode we just went through right now. Take the 3-step process I just taught you and implement it in your life, right? So take a struggle, a thing you're struggling with, a place of suffering in your life, and establish what is. Establish how you in your brain are creating the reality of suffering for this circumstance in your life. 2, take a breath and give yourself consent, right? Sometimes it's hard when we've never taken self-responsibility, when we never have taken full accountability for our suffering in our life. Sometimes when we are placed in front of how we're creating our own suffering, it's hard to accept. So maybe take a breath. Like once you've shown to yourself how you're creating this, take a breath and then ask yourself consent and wait until the consent comes, until your body, your soul, your spirit, whatever you call it, tells you it's okay. We're ready to start changing our thoughts and our beliefs about this. Then move into step 3, which is to establish what you need to think and the belief, the core belief that needs to change in order for you to stop suffering and creating pleasure, joy, or whatever you're after in this aspect of your life. And then coach yourself back to that thinking. Coach yourself back to that thinking. Coach yourself back to that thinking for weeks and months until you start to think automatically from this new perspective. Go through that process for yourself. And I have a podcast episode in season 5 that's called Be the Product of Your Product. Live in the transformation of coaching, and I'm telling you, your business will explode. Now, you got to share your experience with people, right? You got to tell people what you're experiencing and all the transformation you're having and how your life is changing and how your emotion wellness is better and your mental health is better. Now you got to market that. And then you got to connect that with food and body image and health. Now people are going to buy what you have to sell because it's not just what's written in the book. It's the coaching process around it. You're going to hold their hand through health at every size or intuitive eating or body image. Okay, I just took a brand. This wasn't planned in the podcast, but we're going to keep it there, right? We're going to live that there because I know it's going to help hundreds of professional and coaches market their business better. So I'm going to leave you with what I had planned to leave you with, which is 2 intentional thoughts that have been very successful with my student in changing their feelings and their beliefs around coaching, right? We call ourselves coaches. So here's a thought for you. I am a coach every minute of my day. Is a thought you want to start practicing and living from. Because very often we show up as a coach in a coaching session, but in the rest of our life, we're not coaches, especially towards ourselves, right? Remember the whole conversation about struggling with compassion and all of that? Start being a coach every minute of your day. Now, here's thought number 2, which goes along thought number 1. I am my number 1 client. So not only am I coach every minute of the day, but me and my brain are in a coaching relationship. I am my number 1 client. I learn to coach others through coaching myself. Practice these thoughts, and I'm telling you, they're going to change your relationship to coaching and to your client. Ready to shed diet culture from your practice and help more clients do the same? Awesome. We've got 3 resources to get you started. Simply go to stephaniedodier.com/pro series, all in one word, and access our 3 free training classes that are currently available. We also have a free PDF guide to intuitive eating, an article about the non-diet approach. We also offer a variety of paid programs throughout the year to support you in your journey to undiet your coaching practice. Join us at stephaniedodier.com/pro series, and I'll see you on the other side.